All right, so we give praise, esteem, and honor, Abba, and Shamayim, in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach. Let's pick this up at John chapter 5, verse 39. Search the scriptures, for in them you think you have eternal life, and they are they which testify of me, and you will not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you, that you have not the love of Alahym in you. I come in my Abba's name, and you receive me not. And if another shall come in his own name, him you will receive. How can you believe which receive honor one from another, and not the honor that comes from Alahym only? Do not think that I will accuse you to Abba. There's one that accused you, even Moses, in whom you trust. Had you believed Moses, you would have believed me, for he wrote of me. But if you believe not his writings, how should you believe my words? All esteem and praise to Abba and Shamayim in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach. What's happening? All right. Just different header. John 3, verse 22. And after was also immersing in Elon. Golly. Oh man. This thing done froze up. Let me check and see if it's still playing. This John Hill, man. All right, it's still playing. All right, it's still playing. Cool. No, it buffered on me. I thought we were going to stop. So, John 3 and 22. After these things came Yahushua and his disciples into the land of Yehuda, and there he tarried with them immersed. Yachanan was also immersing in Enon near Salem, because there was much water there, and they came and were immersed. Peace, brother Joseph, man. Shalom, brother Marlon, man. For Yachanan was not yet cast into prison. Then arose a question between some of Yachanan's disciples and the Yahudim about purifying. They came unto John, saying unto him, Rabbi, he that was with you beyond Jordan, to whom you bear witness, behold, the same immersed, Shalom Mother's room, and all come to him. Yachanan answered and said, a man can receive nothing except it be given him from Shamayim. This is one of the where you sit back and look at, right? That a man can receive nothing unless it's given to him from heaven. So pause and come to Ecclesiastes 2 and 20. Having a conversation about this, I told you this before, because a lot of people feel like they be talking about theologians and people of that sort, but that don't mean that what they got come from heaven. You know what I'm saying? That's not to diminish somebody if they decided to pursue higher education as a means of studying the word, if you would. But that doesn't mean that that person is an expert on the word because they have a theological degree, went to seminary, have master's degree. That doesn't mean anything, because 99.9% chance Yahuwah is not there in the first place. You know what I'm saying? I think we talked about that the other day. A lot of that stuff is just doctrines of men. So, you know what I mean? So whole different type of scenario. But Ecclesiastes 2, peace, brother Omar. Ecclesiastes 2 and 21. For there's a man whose labor is in wisdom and in knowledge and in equity. Yet to a man that have not labored therein shall he leave his portion. This is also vanity and a great evil. Now pause, right? You see how he said there's a man whose labor is in wisdom and in knowledge and in equity. Shalom, Sister Jim. Yet to a man that have not labored, he will leave it. Maybe so. I wouldn't doubt it. Shalom, East man. East man, I'm gonna hit your phone tomorrow, man. We just moving, so I gotta get with you on Sunday. But come over here to Luke chapter 4. John 4 and 31. In the meanwhile, his disciples prayed him, saying, Master, eat. But he said unto them, I have meat to eat that you know not of. Therefore said the disciples one to another, have any man brought him to eat? Yahushua said unto them, my meat is to do the will of him that sent me and to finish his work. Say not you that there are yet 4 months and then come harvest. Behold, I say unto you, lift up your eyes and look on the fields, for they are right already to the harvest. And he that reap receive wages and gather fruit unto life eternal, that both he that sow and he that reap may rejoice together. Herein is the saying that true, one sow and another reap. I sent you to reap therein where you bestowed no labor. Other men labored, and you entered into their labors. Listen to what he said. I sent you to reap whereon you bestowed no labor. Other men labored, and you entered into their labors. And what did it say right here in Ecclesiastes 2 and 21? There's a man whose labor is in wisdom and in knowledge and in equity, yet to a man that hath not labor, therein shall he leave it. Now, let's go into that a little bit more in depth. So, labor. And of course, I'm going to be honest with you. I know most of this stuff is pretty self-explanatory. Amal. Shalom, Brother Robert. Alahym, meme, and lamad. Toil, trouble, labor. Trouble, mischief, toil, labor. Toil, travail, trouble, wearisome, wickedness. So in this instance, could be sorrowful labor. Nevertheless, there's labor. And his labor is in Kokma, which of course you know is wisdom, skill in war, wisdom in administration, shrewdness, prudence in religious affairs, being ethical and righteous. And of course, you know, we have knowledge, which is Doth, which is knowledge, understanding and discernment and perception. And then we have equity, which is Kishron, Kaf, Shan, Raj, Noon, success, skill, profit, skill, success, profit, advantage, success. So he said there's a man whose labor is in Kokma, Doth, and Kishron, or more importantly, there's a man whose labor in skill and understanding and success. Now, what do you think this success and advantage will give? Now, we was having this conversation last night, and Stanley would listen to some dudes who was having the same conversation today. And of course, as you've already noticed, because we discussed this before, the thought process of an individual being able to live this life for God and not for themselves seems to infuriate people to no end. They continually bring up, like, what if you slip? I think so. It's not a thing. I know that most individuals, when they hear somebody say that you can live without sin and that's possible, I think most people think that that person is going to be extremely condemning to individuals if they fall. I think the reason why individuals do this is not a thing. I know why individuals do this, because the mercy and love and compassion of God is not in them. So, due to tell you that's Shalom, Jay, this is dangerous. Because they was going in the back and forth about something. I'm gonna show y'all something. Because I didn't know that this is what people were doing with this Luke chapter 1. So when I read this Luke 1 and 5, y'all tell me if y'all ever heard anyone say this before. Because last night was the first time I had ever heard anybody say this before. This is Luke 1 and 5. There was in the days of Herod the Malik of Yehuda, a certain priest named Zacharias of the course of Abia, and his wife of the daughters of Aaron, and her name was Elizabeth. And they were both righteous before Alahym, walking in the commandments and ordinances of the Lord, blameless. What does it mean to be blameless? That is anemptos, blameless, deserving no censure, free from fault or defect, irreproachable, faultless, unblameable. So if you don't know what censure is, which is a word that most people don't use on a regular basis, I don't think it gets used a lot anymore. You know, that's expressed severe disapproval of someone or something, especially in a formal statement. Now, has any of you ever heard that this means that Elizabeth and Zachariah had never sinned in their life? because this is what individuals were saying that's what this means. And I never heard that before. Dudes was going back and forth to saying the text don't say that Abraham sinned, so therefore we can say that he hasn't sinned. And I say, well, that's wild, because actually I'm going to read you this verse in Ecclesiastes 7:20, where he said, there is not a righteous or a Zadok, a Dom upon the Arats that do Tob and Katanai. Individual told me that's not the words of God. Well, not told me, but told everybody. That's not the words of God. These are wisdom scriptures. So therefore, that doesn't pertain to anyone. I said, this is amazing. Again, I just mentioned to you, just as Zadok, do as Asa or work, good as Tob. So yeah, that don't count. So then when you read 1 Kings 8, he said this don't count neither. I'm gonna say about 8:36. Oh, ain't it? I don't know whether he went too far. It's verse 46, but I'm gonna grab at verse 38. I mean, 1 Kings 8:38. What prayer and supplication soever be made by any man or by all your people, Yasharal, which shall know every man the plague of his own heart, and spread forth his hands towards this house, then hear you in Shamaim your dwelling place, and forgive and do, and give to every man according to his ways, whose heart you know. For you only know the hearts of all the sons of Adam, that they may all fear you, that they may fear you all the days that they live in the land which you gave unto our fathers. Moreover, concerning a stranger that is not of your people, Yasharal, but come out of a far country for your name's sake. For they shall hear of your great name and of your strong hand and of your stretched out arm. And when he shall come and pray towards this house, hear you in Shamaim your dwelling place, and do according to all that the stranger called to you for, that all the people of the rats may know your name, to fear you, as do your people Yasharal, that they may know that this house which I have builded is called by your name. If your people go out to battle against their enemy, whatsoever you shall send them, and shall pray unto Yahuwah towards the city which you have chosen, and the house that I have built for your name, then hear you in Shamaim their prayer and supplication, to maintain their cause. And if they sin against you, for no man that sin not, and you be angry with them, and deliver them to the enemy, so that they carry them away captives unto the land of the enemy far and near. Now, I told him I don't need to read a particular passage that says, hey, Abraham has sinned, because you've got someone bearing witness that there's nobody on the earth who hasn't done that. And of course, if an individual hasn't done that, then they wouldn't have need for a redeemer. Now, what this gentleman tried to do is juxtapose Luke 1 against this John 8, John 8 and 7. So come over here to John 8 and 7, and then grab your Psalms 130. Now I'm going to take, because I got what I want to wrap up with in Genesis 6, but I want to take what's in this Luke 2 and tie to what we're looking at it from this John 8 and this Luke 1, and juxtapose all these things together for a greater overarching point, if the Lord permit. So get you Psalms 130 behind this John 8, because you know John 8 and 1 and Psalms 130 for us is synonymous, parallel, synchronicity, if you will. Let me just make it verse 1 for the complete and total context of everything that's going on. John 8 and 1. Yahushua went up to the Mount of Olives. Early in the morning, he came into the temple, and all the people came unto him, and he sat down and taught them. The scribes and the Pharisees brought unto him a woman taken in adultery. And when they had set her in the midst, they said unto him, Master, this woman was taken in adultery in the very act. I'm going to read this on general principle because we do have Proverbs 6, to deal with. So I'm going to read. So just pause. We're just going to read some contextual background of adultery, if you would. So we're going to grab Exodus 20. And we're really doing this here for the overarching point of what's in Ecclesiastes 2 in what I just said in Psalms 130. So yeah, there's that. Exodus chapter 20. My verse that we need. Verse 14. You shall not commit adultery. Okay, Leviticus 18. You know, like the jingle used to say, just for the hell of it, Diet Coke. Leviticus 18. And verse 20. Moreover, you shall not lay carnally with your neighbor's wife to defile yourself with her. Let's go even further. Let's go to Leviticus 20. Why not? Why not? Verse 10. And if that man that commit adultery with another man's wife, even he that commit adultery with his neighbor's wife, the adulterer and the adulteress shall surely be put to death. Now, this is, of course, obviously why they're bringing this woman to him to see what he's going to say, because they're trying him. They want to see how he responds to this woman's sin. Now, let's come over here to Proverbs chapter 6. Now, of course, Proverbs 6 is going to be the inverse of what we're discussing at this present moment, because it's going to be dealing with a man versus a woman in this instance. Now, we talked about this before. Technically, adultery is having sex with another man's wife. Shalom, Brother Shaul. A man who is married and has sex with another woman unbeknownst to his wife has not committed adultery. He has committed a violation, but technically adultery is not that violation. He has committed begat because he has operated in treachery and deceit. Therefore, he has lied, and that is an abomination. He is participating in lasciviousness. You know what I'm talking about? And uncleanliness, because his behavior brings forth shame. You know what I'm saying? So don't think because we say that means that you just go out here and swing loose wee-wee. No, that's not what that means. That means your violation is something different. Because we just talking about from the technical aspect, you can only technically commit adultery with somebody else's spouse. You can't commit adultery with an unmarried person. You just a whorish dog. Nevertheless, Proverbs 6 and 25. Lust not after her beauty in your heart, neither let her take you with her eyelids. For by means of a whorish woman is a man brought to a piece of bread, and the adulterers will hunt for the precious life. Now, we talked about it before, because he said, take, eat, this is my body. Who is that whorish woman? We read in Ezekiel 16. Yasharal is that whorish woman. I don't even think did we finish Ezekiel 16? I think we did. That's the whorish woman. And he was brought to a piece of bread, and she hunted for his precious life. Let's continue. Can a man take fire in his bosom and his clothes not be burned? Can one go upon hot coals and his feet not be burned? So he that go into his neighbor's wife, whosoever touch her shall not be innocent. Do not despise a thief if he steal to satisfy his soul when he is hungry. But if he be found, he shall restore sevenfold. He shall give all the substance of his house. Whoso commit adultery with a woman lack understanding. We know from Romans 1, if you lack understanding, you're worthy of death. He that do it, destroy his own soul. A wound and a dishonor shall he get, and his reproach shall not be wiped away. Let's see what that means. Because, we talk about this, but, they make many songs talking about sleeping with dudes, old lady. But, boy, the Lord don't look kindly upon that type of conduct, sleeping with another man's wife. That's some real foul, sour thing to do in his eyesight. When it says you get a wound, that is nagah. You get a stroke, a plague, a disease, a mark, a spot, a stroke, a wound. concretely a leprous person or dress. So he say, hey man, you're either going to get a stroke, meaning you're going to get struck, or you're going to get a disease. Something is going to mark to show forth that you are an adulterer. Then he says you're going to get a dishonor, which is cologne, kuf, lamah, u, and noon. That's shame, disgrace, dishonor. And then, of course, nomini, which I think we talked about that word, but I forgot what it means. I think it's a dishonor as well. And this is the thing with a lot of individuals. A lot of people don't care about being dishonorable. Like a public shame or disgrace, ingeminity. You get a public shame or disgrace. This is what he says should happen to you if you do this, which part of that is being brought out and stoned in front of the people. Because this man told us last night, if you was committing adultery with another man's wife and you died in that sin, but you believe in Christ, ain't nothing going to happen to you. I say, sir, that's dangerous. You can't die in your sins, man. That's the wrong thing to tell somebody. Because all it does is strengthen them to continue doing whatever it is that they're doing. So let's look at the next thing here. We talked about reproach last week. Same word, kerpa, a reproach, a resting upon condition of shame and disgrace. Just for the heck of it. Disgrace by definition. The loss of reputation or respect as the result of a dishonorable action. This is verse 34. For jealousy is the rage of man, therefore he will not spare in the day of vengeance. He will not regard any ransom, neither will he rest content, though you give many gifts. So there's no price of life that you can give to this man in this instance if you have done this. Because it's kofar there. Same word that's in Proverbs 13. No price of life, no ransom you can give in this situation and circumstance. So taking that into play, let's come back to John 8. I'm going to read verse 2 again. And early in the morning came again into the temple, and all the people came unto him and sat down and taught them. And the scribes and Pharisees brought unto him a woman taken in adultery. And when they had set her in the midst, I'm going to give you the Greek word for adultery here, just because. Maybe I should go back and give you the Hebrew word for it. And it is mohekiha, simply adultery. So I want you to look at, when you go to look at, come over here to Matthew 5. You know, a lot of people mention this here, and they kind of apply it with a broad brush. It's not necessarily something that should be applied with a broad brush. This is Matthew 5 and 27. He said, you have heard that it was said by them of old time, you shall not commit adultery. Shalom, Yasha, man. So listen, he's bringing this up. We just read where it says, we read all that in, you know, Leviticus, Exodus, Proverbs, etc. The word adultery here is morkayeho. To commit adultery, to be an adulterer, to commit adultery with have unlawful intercourse with another's wife, of the wife to such adultery, to be debauched. A Hebrew idiom. The word is used of those who are at a woman's solicitation or drawn away to idolatry, i.e. eating the things sacrificed to idols. Now, we could get to that with the whore of Babylon, because I didn't mention that, but that's the other part of committing adultery. We can read that in Jeremiah. He said, got off for later. I was just confused. Why does it say in 1 Kings, his heart was good? All right. Give me a second. Verse 28, but I say unto you that whosoever look on a woman to lust after her have committed adultery with her already in his heart. Now, of course, those of you who've been here for a while, you know that parallels to the situation with David and Bathsheba. David knew that that was Uriah the Hittite's wife. So he took it a step further. See, this is not saying if you look on a woman, because let me give you the word for lust here. And lust here is epithemiho, to have a desire for, to long for, to lust after, to covet, of those who seek things forbidden to covet. So pause. Let's go look in your law. And now you can see that this ain't talking about you looking on a lady that you find desirable and you've committed adultery with her. You can't commit adultery in your heart with an unmarried woman. But if this word means to covet, then it takes you back to your law where he tell you that you shouldn't covet your neighbor's wife, your neighbor's ass, your neighbor's manservant, or anything of the sort. Indeed, Jacob would have been wrong with Rachel. But see, people take that and they run off tackle with it, and that's not what that's referring to. Now, I could understand why somebody would follow in that direction if you would. But sometimes you need to look at things and just look at it context-wise. Now, some people may not pick up on David and Bathsheba. That's the instance, because he looked on his neighbor's wife and he lusted after her. And then he had sex with her, and then he killed that man for her. You know what I'm saying? But come over here to Exodus 20 and 17 and listen what it says. You shall not covet your neighbor's house. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is the neighbor's. So guess what he just did in Matthew 5 when he told you that if you look upon a woman with lust in your heart, you've committed adultery. He told you to do what was in the law. I'm going to read it again from both instances, right? I'm going to read this definition for lust, and then I'm going to read the passage again. Epithemiho, to turn upon a thing, to have desire for, long for, to desire. See, that right there is not wrong. You know, we just had it. Just because you have a lust for something doesn't mean necessarily that it's wrong. It depends what type of lust it is. We're not even say what lust it is, what you're desiring after, because that's all lust means. It's a desire. So what is it that you desire? Shalom, Sister Gwen. And that's it. To lust after, to covet, of those who seek things forbidden, to long for rightfully or otherwise, to covet, to desire, would fain, to lust after. So this simply means to lust after and to covet something that is forbidden. Your neighbor's wife is forbidden for you. So when we read Matthew 5 and 27, you've heard that it was said of them above old time, you shall not commit adultery. But I say unto you, whoso that look on a woman to covet after her, have committed adultery with her already in his heart. And what does Exodus 20 and 17 say? You shall not covet your neighbor's house. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is your neighbor's. And what does covet mean in Hebrew? You ask? Kamad, kat, meme, and dalet, to desire, to covet, to take pleasure in, to delight in, to desire, to be desirable, to delight greatly, to desire greatly. So that's what it means. So you desire greatly another man's wife? No, you've committed sin in your heart. Ain't got nothing to do with you look at that woman like, I like her. I'd like to be with her. They got people thinking if you look at a woman and you find her attractive, you commit sin. That ain't what that man talking about. Because you would have to look at the woman with desire to want her. Oh, yeah, I forgot to read that because we talked about that before. I appreciate you mentioning that. I definitely forgot about that. And it was in my brain when I went around now. And that Matthew 5:28, that word for woman literally means another man's wife. So the word for woman here is gune, a woman of any age, whether a virgin or married or a widow. The second definition, a wife, a betrothed woman, especially a wife. This is literally what is being communicated, especially a wife. And what did we read in the law last week? It say, hey, man, you can't mess with a woman who's been betrothed because you still committed adultery. So that's what that means. That don't mean that if you looked at somebody and you know they weren't married, that you sinned. No, you have not. Now, you are a pervert of the highest order and operating in lasciviousness and all manner of uncleanliness. If you're looking at this woman and you have defiled her in your heart, you're a pervert. You know what I'm saying? And you need to seek help. That's different. That don't mean you can look at it and be like, boy, and you go to daydreaming about what you would do to her sexually. Nigga, you're weird. Let's get that out the way. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about weird, not because you desire intimacy with a woman, but weird because you supposed to be godly, and that's what's going through your brain, my nigga. That's what you got going on. That's something we expect for people outside the house, man. I get it, you a man, so I know you're going to desire a woman sexually. That's not an issue. But when you go to daydreaming and fantasizing and probably going home molesting yourself like that, man, you are a pervert. You're a pervert. You know what I'm saying? And you need to get that together. Because brothers were talking about that last night, man. And I know a lot of brothers deal with that. They were talking about, a few brothers say, I'm just getting over dealing with porn. And I get it. I ain't mad at nobody about that. That wasn't ever my thing. Everybody got their own thing. That wasn't ever my thing. But, I just want you to, when you talk to brothers, man, they be like they dealing with porn, I just want you to look them in the face and not trying to be funny and be like, hey, blood, you need to really realize, like, you get off watching another man get some yams. Like, for him to put that in perspective. You know what I'm saying? This turns you on to watch another man get some yams. You can sit here and say, well, I'm looking at them. Either way it go, you are viewing and possibly pleasuring yourself to another man getting some yams. And you tell them that for perspective so they can think like, whoa, that's wild. I might want to reassess what I got going on. You know what I'm saying? Not even to be like, oh, you gay or crack no jokes, but to really put that in perspective, like, bro, would you go in a room and sit there in a room and watch a dude get some yams and you don't touch the woman, you just sitting in there fondling yourself? Nah, you wouldn't do that. So when you're watching it on the screen, you fundamentally are doing the same thing. You know what I'm saying? And if you wouldn't do it, and I'm only mentioning that because never do anything that you wouldn't do under other circumstances. Case in point, when I was in prison, man, dudes drunk coffee. A lot of them drunk coffee because the withdrawals from not having whatever stimulant, narcotic that they use. But for me, it's like, hey, bro, if I don't do that on the street, I'm not doing that in here. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going into any location and doing anything that I would not do under any other circumstance. Like, I would never want to be like, oh, yeah, let's run a train on them, bro. I'm not finna be in no room with no butt naked dudes, bro. I'm not finna be sitting in here watching no dude thrash no woman physically, bro. I'm not on that, man. You know what I'm saying? That's part of the reason why pornographic material ain't do nothing for me. I don't want to look at this nigga butt. I don't want to see this big rusty nigga, man. What are they doing for me? Now, some people, it's different, especially if you got onto that young and your desire began to overtake you. You know what I'm saying? I get it because I got friends, man, them niggas were perverts. Man, my homeboy Jeff had a drop cut pull out a piece of his ceiling, man. That man had pornos for days up in there, man. I said, well, you wild with it, boy. You know what I'm saying? Come over there, y'all boy 3-4 deep in here watching a flick. Man, let me go on, boy. You know what I'm talking about? Man, I'm not finna sit in here and watch this here with you, man. Man, when we was in prison, man, we had a DVD player, whatever case may be. These dudes done found pornos on the side of the road or whatever case may be. They want to come back to the dorm and watch it. Bro, I'm not finna be sitting in prison with no 10, 15 dudes watching no flick. Boy, ain't a woman in sight. Ain't a woman in sight, blood. Nowhere. Bro, I'm not finna do that. Well, you boy hard as Chinese arithmetic? No, sir. No, sir. No, sir. I'm not doing that. You know what I'm saying? I don't even know how you turned on from that, my nigga. You know what I'm saying? For some people, it is. But, it's just giving them the thought process like, bro, you get turned on by watching other men have sex. You are a voyeur. You know what I'm saying? That's almost borderline cuck material. If you don't know what a cuck is, that's a man who likes to watch his wife or woman be pleasured physically by another man. It's called a cuckold. If you're not familiar with what that is, and you borderline operating in that area when you're doing that. You know what I'm saying? I mentioned this to have perspective to talk. If you run across young dudes our age, whoever, and they dealing with that, like to put this, that's to give them a proper perspective. Shalom, brother Ernest. It's not to ridicule them or rank on them or this, that, there, and the third. Because when you're younger, you rank on your homeboys if you catch them in there jerking off watching a porno. Because you're young, and that's what we do. Caught you down bad. You're gonna get jokes for a couple of weeks. We gonna move on. You know what I'm saying? But we grown now, so we know that type of behavior is rooted in uncontrollable desire. So it's to give perspective on, like, yo, I understand you got X, Y desire, blood, but this what you really doing. I just want to give you something to think about. Take with this information and do what you will with it. You know what I mean? And that's all you pretty much can do, because people are gonna do what they want to do. So back to John 8. We got Psalms 130 to back this John 8 up. John 8:3. And the scribes and Pharisees brought unto him a woman taken in adultery, and when they sat her in the midst, they said unto him, Master, this woman was taken in adultery in the very act. Now Moses in the law commanded us that such should be stoned. What say you? This they said, tempting him, that they might have to accuse him. But Yahushua stooped down and with his finger wrote on the ground, as though he heard them not. So when they continued asking him, he lifted up himself and said unto them, He that is without sin among you, let him cast a stone at her. And again he stooped down and wrote on the ground. And when they heard it, being convicted by their own conscience, went out one by one, beginning at the eldest, even unto the last. And Yahushua was left alone, and the woman standing in the midst. And when Yahushua lifted up himself and saw none but the woman, he said unto her, Woman, whose are those thine accusers? Have no man condemned you? She said, No man, Lord. Yahushua said unto her, Neither do I condemn you. Go and sin no more. Now, what the gentleman brought out is without sin, because without sin is going to be a different definition than blameless. And it is anam aretatos, which means sinless, one who is not sinned, of one who cannot sin. That is without sin. And that goes into why Abraham was mentioned and this, that, there, and the third. You dig? Now, this is going to take us back to Ecclesiastes 2 and John 4, and possibly something in 1 John 3 and 9. And you know what 1 John 3 and 9 say. You know what I'm talking about? So, nevertheless, we know that everybody done sinned. But then there comes a point where you born of the word. I had a gentleman try to explain to me what dead to sin in Romans 6 meant last night. And shoot, my heart rate was already accelerated. I was like, this nigga gonna give me a heart attack with this stupidity this nigga talking about, because this nigga sounds like a goddamn fool. I've never heard so many people who say that they're free in the Mashiach, and they believe that a Mashiach has come and set them free, but sin ain't what you free from. It's crazy to me. It's crazy to me. Like, I don't even think, like, boy, you know what I'm saying? What that boy Pac say, man, we fresh out on bail, California dreaming. This man done bonded you out. And not only bonded you out, he ain't bonded you out from a misdemeanor. He ain't bonded you out from a life felony. This man bonded you out from death row. You had a death sentence, blood. You had a death sentence, boy. He paid that ransom. I mentioned that because when we were talking about the surety for a debt, he paid that ransom. He was the surety for the debt. He was a pledge, because that's what you get when you bond out of jail. It's a surety bond. It's a pledge. They're pledging your appearance in court. This man paid it. He pledged, I'm going to cover that cost for them. I'm going to pay that for him. What he owe, I pay that. He good. You know what I'm saying? Let me tell you something, man. And be thankful that none of you have ever had this experience. Like to be sitting in somebody county jail, man, not sure if somebody gonna bond you out. And next thing you know, you hear somebody tell you to come pack it up. You don't know what's going on. It's a bombing waiting on you because somebody went and paid that price or pledged that house or pledged whatever and say, yeah, man, go get them. I'm going to cover that. That's a different type of feeling. That's on some natural stuff. And you know you wrong. And these people ain't got to come get you, boy. Boy, Yahuwah ain't have to come get you, boy. He could have let you perish in the grave. He could have let you been without hope. He said, don't worry about it. I'll pay that. I'll pay that ransom. I'll pay that kofar. I'll pay that price of life. I'll pay that. Because you got off of death row, man. Off of death row, you understand? He said, I had to bond myself out. So it hit different to know he bonded himself out willingly. Absolutely. Because you bonded yourself out, you spent your own bread. That don't even count. Imagine somebody bonding you out. They don't owe you nothing. People don't owe you nothing. Hit different. You know what I'm talking about? What we need to hear that, man. Come at Ecclesiastes 2. Where you been there, Brother Ernest? I already know. But imagine sitting in there hoping somebody gonna come get you. They don't come. That would be like if Yahuwah ain't manifest in the flesh and come bond you out and let you stay on death row. Let you die in your sin. But praise be to Alahym in the name of Yahushua. He ain't do that though. Oh, I gotta read Psalms 130, my bad. Psalms 130:1. Out of the depths have I cried unto you, O Yahuwah. Let's look at the depths. What's these depths? Mahamak, Meme, Ayin, Meme, Kuf, Meme, and Meme. Depths. The deep. The depths. You can look at that in some instances. Deep waters or the grave. Nevertheless, if you, Yahuwah, should mark iniquity, O Lord, who shall stand? He that without sin cast the first stone. But there's forgiveness with you. No man condemn you. I don't condemn you either, that you may be feared. Take it right back to what we read in 1 Kings 8. There's forgiveness with him that he might be arrayed or reverence. I wait for Yahuwah. My soul do wait, and in his word do I hope. My soul for the Lord, then they wait for the Lord more than they that watch for the morning. I say more than they that watch for the morning. Let Yasharal hope in Yahuwah, for with Yahuwah is mercy, and with him is plenteous redemption. And he shall redeem Yasharal from all his iniquities. Now take a look at this, right? Number one, it says there's with him is plenteous redemption. Plenteous is Rabbah, which is great. Redemption is Baduth, which is the ransom or deliverance. And he said he will redeem Yasharal from all his Avon. He said, one time I already been sentenced to 30 days, and by the third day I heard, wrap it up. My people went to the judge, and he allowed me to change my plea and bond out. Look at the Lord. Look at the Lord. Now, when you got redeemed, that is Padah, to ransom, to redeem, to rescue, to be ransomed. And you know that he made his life a ransom for many. So he shall ransom Yasharal from all the Avon, or the guilt of the punishment. So when you see that, and it's going to still take us back to Ecclesiastes 2. When you see that, what do we get from that? He's the one that's going to ransom Yasharal from all his iniquities. Look at what one of the apostles said in Luke 24. See, unfortunately, in these days and times, a lot of people's mind is not on his mercy. They mind on a lot of things, but his mercy ain't one of them. And that's unfortunate. That page ripped out. Hold on. Luke 24:15. And it came to pass that while they communed together and reasoned, Yahushua himself drew near and went with him. But their eyes were holden that they should not know him. And he said unto them, what manner of communications are these that you have one to another as you walk and are sad? One of them, whose name was Cleopas, answering, said unto him, are you a stranger in Jerusalem, and have not known the things which have come to pass here, there, in these days? He said unto them, what things? They said unto him concerning Yahushua of Nazareth, which was a prophet, mighty indeed in word before Alahym and all the people, how the chief priests and our rulers delivered him to be condemned to death and have crucified him. But we trusted that it had been he which should redeem Yasharal. And besides all this, today is the third day since these things were done. So let's see this Greek word for redeem here. And the word here is lutro, to release on receipt of ransom, to redeem, to liberate by payment of ransom, to cause to be released to oneself by payment of a ransom, to redeem. My God, today. It's literally telling you every time a payment of a ransom. So you know what I take us back to? Price of a man's life is his riches. That kofar, that price of a life. And it's telling you in Psalms that Yahuwah will be the one to redeem Yasharal from all their iniquities. My God, today. And then they get mad at us when we be like, yeah, man, we can see that Yahushua and Yahuwah one and the same. Ain't no separation. That don't mean, see, people are getting caught up in something else. So you saying he the father? No, ain't nobody said all that. That's what you heard. But I ain't gonna lie, there's a lot of people who hold to that, honestly. They just convey it in a different fashion, to be 100% honest with you. But nevertheless, let's not focus on that right now. So, with that being said, come back to Ecclesiastes 2. Two and 21. I'll read down the rest of what I really came that far. There's a man whose labor is in wisdom and in knowledge and in equity, yet to a man that have not labored, therein shall he leave it for his portion. This is also a vanity and great evil. For what man have all his labor and the vexation of his heart when he have labored under the sun? For all his days are sorrow and his travail grief, yet his heart take not rest in the night. This is also vanity. Remember, this is all the things that Yahushua would do and leave to his apostles, which is going to take into account what he said in John 4. There is nothing better for a man that he should eat and drink, and that he should make his soul enjoy good in his labor. This also I saw that it was from the hand of Alahym, the Last Supper. For a man who can eat, or who else can hasten more than I? Alahym give to a man that is good in his sight wisdom and knowledge and joy. But to the sinner he give travail to gather and to heap up, that he might give to him that is good before Alahym. This is also vanity and vexation of spirit. That's what we came there for to state, man. Man, this man give the people that's good in his sight, knowledge and wisdom. That ain't got nothing to do with nothing. And a lot of people don't like that. You know what I'm saying? Hey, that don't just is what it is. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of people, soft around the anus, tender meats, if you would. A lot of highly emotional people. A lot of people who truly just want to be seen and heard because ain't nobody ever listened to them in their life. You know what I'm saying? We were talking about this the other day. Like a lot of dudes get into this because in life ain't nobody listening to you. You know what I'm talking about? So you need this as your validation to be heard and to be seen. And that's unfortunate. The reason why I say that is that's why you see so many doctrinal battles, and now you have biblical content creators and things of this nature, because it ain't about making sure the people get served, that the people get brought off with some work. You know what I'm saying? It's about developing some type of content and some type of audience for your own personal sounding board, if you would. Because a lot of people out here were tolerated and neglected. And you know what I'm saying? And when they came out, they found out, oh, we Israel, woo, woo, woo. And then you got dudes telling them, hey, check this out. Every man in Israel need to do this and do that. Dudes think, hey, man, this is what they got to do. You know what I'm saying? Talking about the other day, man, dudes using the word to get yams and using the word to coerce women to, hey, man, you need to be my third wife or you going to hell because you wicked and all the type of stuff. Like, that's goofy stuff, man. That's goofy. You know what I'm saying? Using the word to get yams is despicable. That's dastardly word. All the things you could have did with the word, Going to get yams with it shouldn't have been one of them, blood. I can tell you that. You was a different type of nigga. You know what I mean? But nevertheless, come over here to John 4. Niggas do it every day though. John crazy, man. Niggas weird. So when we were just reading Ecclesiastes 2, right? Let me back up to 21. There's a man whose labor is in wisdom and in knowledge and in equity, yet to a man that have not labored therein, he is going to leave it. Remember, that word equity pertains to advantage or success. So we talked about that last week. What advantage or success that Yahushua had? He overcame death. He said, if I wouldn't have came and did the work that no other man did, they would have not had sin. But now that I've come, they have no cloak for their sin. So now he has the advantage. He has the success. Who is he that overcome the world? But he that believe that Yahushua is the son of Alahym. This is the victory, even our faith. He said, be of good cheer. I've overcome the world. You feel me? So he's labored in these things and leave it to another man who hadn't did any of these things. Remember, Hebrews 12, let me just read. I gotta stay calm. You can't get amped up when my heart rate don't go up. Hebrews 12:1, man. Wherefore, seeing also we are compassed about with so great a cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside every weight and the sin which do easily beset us, and let us run with patience the race that's set before us. Like I say, like I was telling dude last night, man, niggas be wanting to make all these excuses for sin. And I tell the dude, man, if somebody sin, you don't be like, you wicked bastard, you going to hell. You be like, hey man, tighten up on your backstroke, bro. See, what a lot of individuals don't like is niggas really be wanting to be out here doing XYZ, living wicked as hell, and don't want nobody to say nothing to them. You know what I'm saying? Hey, I can be able to smash women, do this, do that. Don't matter. You know what I'm saying? And it's the issue, man. Somebody gonna say something to you. And just like you say, you know, all chastisement don't feel joyous but grievous. You know what I'm saying? You ain't got to like if somebody says something to you. If they said something to you, they said something to you genuinely because they care. What I notice is most individual Israelite niggas anyway, these niggas be doing all type of stuff. These niggas don't say nothing because they probably don't care. And what I mean by don't care is most of the time people want something to talk about. Like all jokes aside, when it came out, okay, cuz like watching this old lady get hit and he liked to get hit, dudes probably already knew that and just didn't say nothing. You know what I'm saying? Till you fall out with a nigga, now you want to say something. You know what I'm saying? Or like we say when talking to people say, oh, I was part of the congregation, they did me like this, they did people like this, they did people like that. But you ain't never say nothing until they did it to you. See, now it's not real because you ain't really care as long as it wasn't you. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, that's how people kick their game. You know what I'm saying? But the reality is you telling people, hey, man, tighten up on your backstroke. You know, pray you who will have mercy on you and accept your forgiveness. Because and I hear people say this all the time. And unfortunately, we talk about this numerous times because the text don't say this. Just because you repent does not mean that he's going to forgive you. And we don't need to put that in people's mind that if you do something, or I can just repent and I'm straight, he'll forgive me. Because he never said that. Now, see, we got big, grown, rusty people who think that's going to discourage somebody. See, let's deal with the first thing. Because they was also talking about John 9. And niggas made some junk up about that too. You know what I'm saying? Which was wild. Nevertheless, if you're a grown person who get discouraged because you done something that you know you ain't had no business doing and somebody said something to you, you ain't really want to do it anyway. Because let's just keep it. We're not talking about little children. We're grown. These are grown people. These are grown people. Grown people. So you mean to tell me you have sex with another man's wife? That man ain't supposed to say nothing to you? Like, what are you talking about? You discouraged? Because listen, man, I ain't gonna lie to you, man. Niggas really have a Christian attitude. A repent is gonna get me a get out of jail free card. But that man ain't never told you that. You know what I'm saying? They say coming, you don't know if this man will leave a blessing behind. He merciful. Plenteous of mercy and ready to forgive. But he say, but don't let them return to their folly. Come over here to Psalm so I can read that to you. Because a lot of people be ready to return to their folly. And if you had already heard, why is you returning to your folly and thinking that you're straight? That's dangerous. And I told Cuz that, well, what you saying is dangerous because it's really fake humility, truth be told. Psalms 85. You can pick it up at verse 1. Because that's what people like to be on. Oh, I'm always going to sin and this, that, there, and the third. Well, that's you, my nigga. That's you. Just because that's the mind frame that you want to adopt, that don't mean that I have to adopt it. That man say he'll set you free. You'll be free indeed. I don't know why nigga don't want to be free. I said, man, I've been there before. You know, walking out the county jail, you know, that junk ain't hitting on nothing. You know what I'm saying? Because that junk different. You know what I'm saying? No, I'm talking about, you know, did 6 months kind of time one time. That just wasn't different because I knew I had stuff to attend to necessarily. Because, boy, I had to sell crack first day out of being home 6 months, man. You know what I'm saying? Mom Deuce was down bad. You know what I'm saying? I had about 3-4 ounces of hard in the closet. Shoot. Nigga looking at me like, boy, you different. Hey, boy, I do what I got to do. You know what I'm saying? Can't be like, oh, I just got out and this going on. I can't do nothing. Nah, man, is you going to cop or what? I ain't trying to hear all that. You know what I'm talking about? But you talking about coming behind from that razor wire, nigga? When you had to get on that bus and go up that highway? Yeah, that freedom there hit different, boy. Ain't no looking back, cuz. Man, I've been made free. I'm not finna subject myself to this. So you've been shackled from, like he said in Kings, you know, every man know the plague of his own heart. Everybody stuff different. And that man set you free from that, and you finna go back around there and fool with that? I'm like, y'all scream Paul every day. He said the love of a Mashiach constrain us. So the love you got for that man, that don't stop you? Like, what's going on? Psalms 85:1. Yahuwah, you have been favorable unto your land. You have brought back the captivity of Jacob. You have forgiven the iniquity of your people. You have covered all their sins. Selah. Let's see what covered mean now. We still got John 4 on deck, by the way, and Hebrew 12. Let's see if we got kafar here. We have kasah, to conceal, to hide. Take us back to when he said, I'll blot out your sins like a thick cloud. Let's continue. Verse 3. You have taken away all your wrath. And see, that's the way I want to tie in to Genesis 6. We got time. Y'all ain't got to go to work tomorrow. They finna celebrate Chronos. And you have turned yourself from the fierceness of your anger. And of course, let me say this here too, right? That's on my brain. Man, don't y'all be around here getting upset, talking about this ain't the real New Year and all that other stuff, man. Man, don't be doing that, blood. That's their New Year. Always remember the New Year, that's the first month of Abib. That's not everybody new. He said this is the beginning of months for you. You need to learn and understand that every people has their own God, their own culture, their own ways, their own doings. He told you that in Micah 4. Let me read that to you, man. Then you won't be so mad about that junk, man. Let them people have their stuff, man. That's their stuff. They ain't got nothing to do with you. It ain't the beginning of the year and the dead of the winter. It is for them. It's like I tell you every time. I don't see you getting mad at the Chinese in February when it's their New Year. I don't see you mad about that. I don't see you getting mad when the Arab New Year roll around. I don't see you getting mad about that. or the Ethiopian New Year, or the Celt New Year. All these people got their own New Year. But since you don't live in those lands, you don't know that, and that's understandable. Because why would you know that if you don't live there, or you're not into those type of things? This is Micah 4, verse 4. They shall sit every man under his vine, under his fig tree, and none shall make them afraid, for the mouth of Yahuwah of hosts has spoken it. For all people will walk everyone in the name of his God, and we will walk in the name of Yahuwah, our Alahym, forever and ever. And there it is. Let them do that, man. They like Chronos. Let them, hey, man, Chronos it is then. They want to fool with Janus, you know what I'm talking about? Let them fool with it then. They ain't got nothing to do with you. You mad? What you mad for? Because you want to be outside reveling with them? Well, go ahead, put the diaper on, be the New Year's baby, go out there, get drunk, go have your damn good time. If not, nigga, chill out. Never seen niggas be more mad at New Year's than the fact that this nigga committing adultery, or this nigga ain't doing this, or this nigga doing that. This nigga committing idolatry. This nigga stealing. This nigga blasphemes. Don't none of that bother you. This nigga beat his wife. God forbid you celebrate New Year's on January 1st. You just the most horrible person who's ever breathed. It's insane. Psalms 85 and 4. Turn us, O Alahym, of our salvation, and cause your anger towards us to cease. Will you be angry with us forever? Will you draw out your anger to all generations? Will you not revive us again, that your people may rejoice in you? And that's where the Ruach HaKodesh, through the death, burial, and resurrection of Yahushua HaMashiach, come in. Show us your mercy, O Yahuwah, and grant us your salvation. I will hear what Alahym Yahuwah will speak, for he will speak shalom unto his people and to his saints, but let them not turn again to folly. He said he will speak peace to you, but don't go back to folly. See, a lot of me, and that's the old covenant. Man, it's the same word, blood. It's the same word, blood. Ain't no difference, man. It's the same word. It's just understanding the execution of operation. But it's the same word, man. Hebrews 12:1. Wherefore, seeing we're also compassed about with so great a cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside every weight. You say the New Year's and the sin which do easily beset, and let us run with patience the race that is set before us. Looking unto Yahushua, the author and finisher of faith, for the joy that was set before him, endured the cross, despising the shame, and is set down at the right hand of the throne of Alahym. For consider him that endured such contradiction of sinners against himself, lest you be weary and faint in your minds. You have not resisted unto blood, striving against sin. And there's a man who has labored in knowledge, wisdom, and equity, and give it all to a man who labored not. Ain't none of us got a no tree and suffered. But yet we coming into other men's labors. John chapter 4. 4 and 34. Yahushua said unto them, my meat is to do the will of him that sent me and to finish his work. Say not that you are yet 4 months and then come harvest. Behold, I say unto you, lift up your eyes and look unto the fields, for they are white already to harvest. He that reap receive wages and gather fruit unto life eternal, that both he that sow and he that reap may rejoice together. Herein is the saying true, one sow and another reap. I sent you to reap therein where you bestowed no labor. Other men labored. You are entered into their labors. Whose labors is he talking about? Well, let's look at Romans 16:25. Now to him that is of power, this is Romans 16:25, to establish you according to my gospel and the preaching of Yahushua HaMashiach, according to the revelation of the mystery which was kept secret since the world began, But it now is made manifest by the scripture of the prophets according to the commandment of the everlasting Alahym, made known to all nations for the obedience of faith. Come on, I got one more, man. This fourth is the foundation of the prophets. I got to remember what it's at. Ephesians chapter 2. Ephesians chapter 2. Verse 16. And that he might reconcile both unto Alahym in one body by the stake, having slain the enmity thereby. And he came and preached in peace to you which were far off, and to them that were nigh, for through him, we both have access by one ruach unto the Abba. Now therefore you are no more strangers and foreigners, but fellow citizens with the saints and of the household of Alahym, and you are built upon the foundation of the apostles and prophets, Yahushua HaMashiach himself being the chief cornerstone. So listen, the prophets come through and they came in with that labor. And then you're coming in to, well, he's telling them you're coming into their labors. And you didn't do none of the labor that they did. They did all the things, got the knowledge, the wisdom, and the advantage or the success. And here you come, you ain't did none of this. And what does that take us to? Hebrews 11. And 34 is where I started to say. Quench the violence of fire, escape the edge of the sword, out of weakness were made strong. Wax valiant in fight and turn flight the armies of the aliens. Women received their dead raised to life again, and others were tortured, not accepting deliverance, that they may obtain a better resurrection. And others had a trial of cruel mockings and scourgings, yea, moreover, bonds and imprisonment. They were stoned, they were sawn asunder, were tempted, were slain with the sword. They wandered about in sheepskins and goatskins, being destitute, afflicted, and tormented, of whom the world was not worthy. They wandered in deserts and in mountains and in dens and in caves of the earth. And all these, all having obtained a good report through faith, received not the promise. None of these people he did mention. And before we get to it, I'm going to mention all the people he mentioned. He mentioned Abel. He mentioned Noah. And we can come back and look at verse 7 because we about to go look at Noah again in a moment. He mentioned Isaac and Jacob. He mentioned Sarah. He mentions Joseph. He mentions Moses. He mentions Rahab. He mentions Gideon, Barak, Samson, Jephthah, David, Samuel, and all the prophets, and none of them received the promise. What does he say here in verse 40, Hebrews 11? Alahym provided some better thing for us, that they without us should not be made perfect. These people weren't made perfect till this time came. Now let that sizzle in your spirit, as my homeboy like to say, man. Let that sizzle in your spirit for a moment, right? Now, with that being said, we read Sunday Psalms 85, right? Let me pull that back up. You can go to Genesis 6. We read in Psalms 85, will you be angry with us forever? You've taken away your wrath. You've turned away from all your fierce anger. I want you to let that sizzle in your spirit. Consider that for a moment. Now, we read most of Genesis 6 already, but there was a particular point that I wanted to hash out that we didn't hash out. Oh, I didn't read Hebrews 11. Not bad. Hebrews 11 and 7. By faith, Noah, being warned of Alahym, of things not seen as yet, moved with fear, prepared the ark to the saving of his house, by the which he condemned the world and became the heir of righteousness, which is by faith. And I want you to sit back and pay attention to what this man just said. What y'all think that means? Omar, retype them verses you had in there too, man. What y'all think this means? Damn. God damn it. My bad, y'all. Yeah, my bad, man. I meant to slid that junk off. Trying to slide this other stuff off. He became an inheritor because of his faith, and that is correct. That is part of it. Nah, yeah, I had slid that junk off by accident. I was trying to slide out them other doggone tabs. The first thing you sit back and look at is he said the preparing of the ark by the which condemned the world. So let's go back to Genesis 6, right? And then because of that, as we mentioned, he became an inheritor through faith. But it said him preparing the ark in and of itself condemned the world. So let's look at Genesis 6. Genesis 6, verse 8. Yeah, my bad, y'all. I was missing swipe this junk off by accident. But Noah found grace in the eyes of Yahuwah. Loving kindness of God was found for Noah. These are the generations of Noah. Noah was a Zadok and perfect in his generations. And Noah walked with Alahym. Noah walked with God. He was perfect in his period of time, and he was righteous. Noah begat 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Now, of course, we know the earth was corrupt. Before Alahym, the earth was filled with violence. He looked upon the earth, and behold, it was corrupt, for all the flesh had corrupted his way upon their rats. Alahym said unto Noah, the end of all flesh has come before me. The earth is filled with violence. Through them, behold, I will destroy them with the earth. Make you an ark of gopher wood. Rooms that you shall make in the ark, and you shall pitch it within and without with pitch. Listen, the minute that he tells him to make this ark, this is condemnation to the whole world. How is it condemnation to the whole world? Hold on, let's break this down first. Come to verse 17. Behold, I do bring floods of waters upon the earth to destroy all flesh, wherein the breath of life from under Shamahim, everything that is on the earth shall die. But with you will I establish my covenant. You shall come into the ark, you and your sons, and your wife and your son's wife with you. Every living thing of all flesh, 2 of every sort shall you bring into the ark to keep them alive with you. They shall be male and female. Of fowls after their kind, of cattle after their kind, of creeping thing on the earth after his kind. 2 of every sort shall come in unto you to keep them alive. Take you unto you of all food that is eaten, and you shall gather it to you, and it shall be food for you and for them. Thus did Noah according to all the Alahym command him, so did he. This is how you show that he's an inheritor by faith. Because he did all these things based off a word. He believed. But see, once we read in Genesis 6, we say the earth was corrupt and they corrupted his way and it was filled with violence. The minute he told him to build that ark, the whole world is condemned. See, this is something that you don't understand. This is why people get upset when you say, hey, man, you can live without sin, or you say you live without sin, because you, by reason of your existence, is condemnation to them. See, Yahushua, when he was in the flesh, that's why he said, if I wouldn't have came and did the work that no other man did, they wouldn't have had sin. His literal presence was condemnation to them. Even if he didn't utter a word, these men were condemned. You understand? So when he tells Noah, go make this ark because the earth is corrupt, it's full of violence, but you perfect in your generations and you just before me and you walk before me. That ark in and of itself is a condemnation to everybody. And people don't wait and consider that. And I'm mentioning that because that is part of the reason why people get upset about saying you can live with sin. Because if you are, let me read the John 15 for one. Let me get the word condemned out of Hebrews 11:7 real quick. Condemned here is katakarino, to give judgment against, judge it, to judge worthy of punishment, to condemn, by one's good example, to render another's wickedness the more evident and censurable, to judge against, i.e. sinners, to condemn, to damn. So this is saying that ark was showing in and of itself these people were worthy of punishment, just like the stars being in the sky. Yeah, man, absolutely. It's a testament. Now, remember, we talked about this before. Let's say you had children and you weren't married. Those children were produced on a defiled bed and you died in your sin. And on Judgment Day, all that man has to produce is your children. And that's a testimony against you. You condemned. Ain't nobody got to say a word. There's the product of your sin. Boom. It's over. It's over. You know what I'm saying? People don't be realizing that because they look at, you know what I'm saying, this, that, then, the third, but that's the reality of the situation. When 1 John 3:9 say, he that is born of Alahym do not commit sin, he cannot sin because his seed remain in him because he born of Alahym. And the verse before that say, he that commits sin is of the devil. And we know that the son of Alahym was manifested to destroy the works of the devil, and then tell you that those that are born of God don't sin. And he say, in this, let's just read it for those who don't know what it's talking about, who ain't never seen that before. Because in this instance, he's telling you that the sons of God are literally condemnation to the sons of the devil. See 1 John 3:8. He that commits sin is of the devil. For the devil sinned from the beginning. For this purpose, the son of Alahym was manifested that he might destroy the works of the devil. Now, we talked about that the other week, about him destroying the works of the devil. We just talked about that. With the propitiation through faith in his blood. We just talked about that. So then when he says, whosoever is born of Alahym do not commit sin, for his seed remain in him, and he cannot sin, because he is born of Alahym. I ain't familiar with, I ain't read Wisdom of Solomon since 2012. I ain't gonna lie to you. You got to post that one up there. He say, in this the sons of Alahym are manifest, and the sons of the devil. Whosoever do righteousness is not of Alahym, neither he that love not his brother. So guess what this means? If you are born of God and you don't sin, that's automatically condemnation for the sons of the devil. That's automatic condemnation. And you ain't got to do nothing but exist. Let me read John 15 that I referenced several times that points to this very matter. 15:22. If I had not come and spoken unto them, they had not had sin. But now they have no cloak for their sin. He that hate me, hate my Abba also. If I had not done among them the works which no other man did, they had not had sin. But now they have both seen and hated both me and my Abba. That man said, if I wouldn't have came and did this work, they wouldn't have had no sin. Him literally doing what he was doing condemned them. Him, Noah, literally making that ark condemns them. But listen, now the wrath of God is about to come on the earth, right? Because he said he gonna make it rain. So come to Romans 5, because Romans 5 is a literal representation of the ark in regards to what we read in Psalms 85. Let me reread Psalms 85. That's why he said, don't cry for me, cry for those. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Because he said, if they done these things in the green tree, what shall be done in the dry? Verse 2 of Psalms 85, you've forgiven the iniquity of your people. You've covered all their sins. Selah. We just read how he redeemed Yasharal from all their iniquities. You have taken away all your wrath. You have turned yourself from the fierceness of your anger. Turn us, O Alahym, of our salvation, and cause your anger towards us to cease. Will you be angry with us forever? Will you draw out your anger to all generations? Will you not revive us again, that your people may rejoice in you? Show us your mercy, O Yahuwah, and grant us your salvation. Now, obviously, he about to flood the earth. He about to show his wrath. Man, let's look at Romans 5. 5 and 7. Make it 5 and 6. Romans chapter 5, verse 6. For when we were yet without strength, in due time, Mashiach died for the ungodly. For scarcely for a righteous man will one die, yet peradventure for a good man will some even dare to die. But Alahym commended his love towards us, that while we were yet sinners, Mashiach died for us. Much more then, being now justified by his blood, we shall be saved from wrath through him. For if when we were enemies, we were reconciled to Alahym by the death of his son, much more being reconciled, we shall be saved by his life. Notice he said you'll be saved by wrath through him. Now we look at Noah. Noah's family was saved from wrath through him. And it takes us back to what we read in Psalms 85. That, Godmother, he going to turn us from his fierce anger. You know what I'm talking about? That's what that's representing. And with that ark, like we just read in Hebrew, man, it said, man, when he went to building that ark, that condemned everybody. Everybody's showing that they're worthy of punishment. And you ain't finna get on this boat. So now you got Shem, Ham, and Yafet all getting on this boat. Now, why is that important? Can anybody tell me what Noah's name means again? Does anybody remember? Do I got to read it off the page? I need to see if somebody remembers. You know, like Michael Jackson. You remember the time? Rest, indeed. Let's come back over here to Genesis 5 and 28. Genesis 5 and 28. And Lamech lived 182 years and begat a son and called his name Noah, saying, this same shall comfort us concerning our work and the toil of our hands because of the ground which Yahuwah have cursed. Now, you know, we talked about this in years past, that, you know, the comforter of Noah showing forth the representation of the dwelling of the Ruach HaKodesh, because that's going to comfort the ground which he cursed, because, you know, dust you are, dust you shall return, because he's redeemed you from the curse of the law, which is death, or Genesis 3 and 19. You know what I'm talking about? Which I think I told a brother that last night, man. You know, everybody want to talk about we under the curses, because your curses start at Deuteronomy 28, and that's unfortunate, because the first curse in the text is in Genesis chapter 3. You got the curse for the woman, you got the curse for the serpent, and then you got the curse for man. And that curse for man is that you die, which is really what he's redeeming you from. Remember when they said he redeemed Israel from all his iniquities? Iniquities is avon, and that's guilt of punishment. So when he's telling you he ransoming you from the punishment. That's why he said, if the Son shall set you free, you shall be free indeed. So when you look at Noah making the ark and Ham, Shem, and Japheth get to go in it, all the world gets saved from the punishment. See, they don't like to look at that. I don't think we talked about that in a long time. You got Shem, which is Yasharal, Edom, Moab, Ammon. You got Japheth, which is your Gentiles. And you got Ham, which is your Hamites. And what is that? That's every soul under heaven, saved through wrath through Noah. But see, they don't look at that testimony, man. They can't see that every nationality of people was saved from wrath through Noah. So it was. Saved from the wrath. You know what I'm talking about? What we just read in Romans 5? Again, tying into what was in Psalms 85. This man said, much more than being now justified by his blood, Shem, Ham, and Japheth were justified by the faith of Noah. They were righteous because Noah was righteous. Now, when we look at justified by his blood, how are you justified by his blood? You justified by blood because the life of the flesh is in the blood. And I've given you blood for an atonement. So you're made righteous by his covering sacrifice. Well, how are you made righteous by his covering sacrifice? Because the knowledge of my righteous servant will justify many. He said, we shall be saved from wrath through him. Was not Ham, Shem, and Japheth saved from wrath through Noah? I would say that they were. And their wives, and his wife. And it can show you what can happen to be in proximity of a man who God fooled with. You know what I'm talking about? So, of course, that bears witness to the testimony of Yahushua. Because Shem, Ham, and Japheth are all saved through him. They're all saved through him. Saved from wrath through him. What's that verse you had on there, man? Amen, Sister Regina. Amen. Say God. Let me see. 1 Kings 15 and 14. But the high places were, this is verse 9, I should say. In the 20th year of Jeroboam, Malachah Yasharal reigned Asa over Yehudah. 41 years reigned he in Jerusalem, and his mother's name was Micah, the daughter of Absalom. Asa did right in the eyes of Yahuwah, as David his Abba. And he took away the Sodomites out of the land and removed all the idols that his father had made. And also Micaiah, his mother, even her he removed from being queen, because she made an idol in the grove, and also destroyed her idol and burnt it in the brook of Kidron. But the high heart was perfect with Yahuwah all his days. So why does it say for his heart was good all his days? But of course, not the case. 2 Chronicles 16 and 7. I'm gonna read that in a second to make sure it's the same dude. "20th year, Jeroboam the king." Let's look at 2 Chronicles 16 and 1. Look like what an instance where it go into detail where he trusted in himself versus trusting in God got exposed. In the 36th year of the reign of Asa, Baasha, Malachah Yasharal came up against Yehuda. Yeah, that's a different dude. Is this a different dude? Oh no, my bad. I'm tripping because I say came up against Yehuda and built the Ramah to the intent that he might like not gun come up into Asa, Malachah, Yehuda. Then Asa brought out silver and gold treasures of the house of Yahuwah and of the house, king's house, and sent to Ben-Hadad, king of Syria, that dwelt at Damascus. It makes so that could be a different dude, and that's why you're seeing a different account. It makes so that's a different person. So, okay, that's the same dude. Verse 5, or verse 4, I should say, or 3. There's a league between me and you, as there was between your father and my father and your father. Behold, I've sent you silver and gold. Go and break your league with Baasha, king of Israel, that he may depart with me from me. Ben-Hadad hearkened unto King Asa, and sent the captains of his armies against the cities of Israel. And they smote Ijon and Dan and Abalim and all the store cities of Naphtali. It came to pass when Baasha heard it that he left off building of Ramah and let his work cease. Then Asa, the king, took all Yehuda, and they carried away the stones of Ramah and the timber thereof, wherewith Baasha was building, and he built therewith Gibeah and Mitzpah. And at that time, Hannah the seer came to Asa, Malachah, Yehuda, and said unto him, because you relied on the king of Syria and not relied on Yahuwah your Alahym, therefore is the host of the king of Syria escaped out of your hand. Were not the Ethiopians and the Libyans a huge host, and very many chariots and horsemen? Yet because you did rely on Yahuwah, he delivered them into your hand. For the eyes of Yahuwah run to and fro throughout the whole earth to show himself strong in behalf of them whose heart is perfect towards him. Herein you have done foolishly. Therefore, from henceforth you shall have wars. Asa was wroth with the seer and put him in a prison house, where he was enraged with him because of this thing. And Asa oppressed some of the people the same time. And behold, the acts of Asa, the first and the last, they are also written in the book of the kings of Judah and Israel. Asa, in the 39th year of his reign, was diseased in his feet until his disease was exceeding great. What's happening with you yet? And he sought not to Yahuwah, but to the physicians. Asa slept with his fathers and died in the 41st year of his reign. Yes, same dude. Sweet odors and diverse kinds of spices prepared by the apothecary's art. And they made a very great burning for him. So when we come back to 1 Kings 15, yeah, they just laid off where shoot. He got out of pocket, or like what we read in 1 Kings 1 Kings 8. Yeah, same dude. He just got out of pocket at that particular point. He just did some things that was right. Now, you look at all his days, you got all, which is the whole of the totality of each, everything, totality, of his John. He did this, that, there, and the third. And that's where verse 16 come in to talk about what's in Chronicles. With the war between Asa and Baasha. And in this instance, because it actually say that in Kings. So everything that's in Chronicles, it's in Kings that he did that. It just don't go into the detail of the prophet stepping to him. So verse 23 stepped to him about how he had a disease in his feet. But it say the same thing when you keep on going in that. In that instance, he trusted in himself and relied on himself to beat Baasha. And that's where he was out of pocket. Just heard, you know what I'm saying? But nevertheless, I think we got what we needed to get out of Ecclesiastes 2. Oh, I didn't read John 9. Now I'm going to read John 9, and I want you to tell me what y'all get out of John 9. And I'm going to tell y'all what they said about this yesterday. This is John 9 and 28. It's John 9 and 28. And they reviled him and said, you are his disciple, but we are Moses' disciples. We know the Alahym spake unto Moses. As for this fellow, we know not whence he is. The man answered and said unto them, why our hearing is a marvelous thing, that you know from not whence he is, yet he have opened my eyes. Now we know the Alahym hear not sinners. But if any man be a worshiper of Alahym and do his will, him he hear. Dude told us last night that God don't hear the prayers of sinners. That ain't what that means. So I'd like to hear what y'all got to say about that. He told us that ain't what that means. And then they began to run down some of the goofiest scenarios. This is Proverbs 15 and 29, by the way. Yahuwah is far from the wicked, but he hear the prayer of the righteous. How about another one? Let's look at Proverbs 28 and 9. Everybody know Proverbs 28 and 9. He that turned away his ear from hearing the law, even his prayer shall be an abomination. You don't want to hear the word, that man say your prayer is disgusting and vile to him. Let's look at another one. We'll go to Psalm 66 and in a moment. Let me look at this Isaiah real quick. Look at Isaiah 15, 1 and 15. I'm making 14. Your new moons and your appointed feasts my soul hate. They are trouble unto me. I am weary to bear them. And when you spread forth your hands, I will hide my eyes from you. You shall make many prayers, but I will not hear you. Your hands are full of blood. Man say, man, you around here full of all that sin, man. I ain't finna listen to you. I'm not hearkening unto you, sir. Psalm 66 and 18. I'm going to make that 16. Come here, all you that fear Alahym, and I will declare what he have done for my soul. I cried unto him with my mouth, and he was extolled with my tongue. If I regard iniquity in my heart, the Lord will not hear me. Now, Psalms 34. In verse 8. O taste and see that Yahuwah is good. Baruch is the man that trusted him. O fear Yahuwah, you his saints. For there's no want to them that fear him. I have dropped down. There's more verse 12. Well, we can keep on going. The young lions do lack and suffer hunger, but they that seek Yahuwah shall not want any good thing. Come, you children, hearken unto me. I will teach you the fear of Yahuwah. What is man that is he that desire life and love many days, and that he may see good? And keep your tongue from evil and your lips from speaking guile. Depart from evil, do good, seek peace and pursue it. The eyes of Yahuwah are upon the righteous, and his ears are open unto their cry. The face of Yahuwah is against them that do evil, to cut them off the remembrance of them from the earth. The righteous cry, and Yahuwah hear, and deliver them out of all their troubles. And that's why you see the just man fall and rise again, or he deliver you out of 6 troubles, yea, even 7. Because when he cried out, my Alahym, why have you forsaken me? He delivered him from that trouble. But nevertheless, you hear all these paths, they say, oh, that's the old covenant. Dude kept referencing, what if a stripper? This is his scenario. What if a stripper was at the house watching television ministry, and she heard the word and she repented with God hear her prayer? I'm like, y'all niggas sound stupid, bro. You know what I'm saying? Because when this man talking about Alahym don't hear the prayers of sinners, you think he talking about somebody who heard the word and is crying out to God for mercy? No, you're an idiot. What is he referring to? He's referring to the fact that this man was able to give him eyesight. And he's telling him if this man was a sinner, God wouldn't have heard that request to give him his eyesight. And that if you're a sinner making a request of Alahym, because people get it conflated and confused, crying out to God for mercy and salvation is not the same as making a request. You know what I'm talking about? Because as I told the gentleman, man, no responsible parent raises their child in a fashion that you can disobey me in every cut and corner, and you ask me for something and I grant it to you. What have I just done? I have reinforced and enabled bad behavior. I have told you that no matter how you conduct yourself, that you can still be rewarded. Now, I told you my homeboy, man, my ace, my nigga, you understand? When he heard, I had already read that verse before, but he heard a particular preacher mention this verse and he was offended because he had never read that verse before. I've told y'all this story before. You know, because he was raised to pray, he had a different thought process. Like, okay, I know God heard my prayers. Me as an individual who that's not my life, I ain't have no thoughts towards that to be offended from the passage. Because I told you the only thing I thought about was my childhood. When I did not do what my mama told me, my daddy told me, my granddaddy told me, my auntie told me, and I asked them for something, they did not grant it. They did not render legal tender. It was rejected. Why? Because I did not do their will. See, the part that people want to focus on when they say he don't hear the prayers of sinners, instead of focusing on the other half. If any man be a worshiper of Alahym and do his will, he'll hear you. But don't nobody want to focus on that. We can't be telling people, man, it say what it say. Dude say the Messiah didn't teach that. Man, I wanted to hit this nigga in the head with this bottle. You know what I'm saying? Because at that point, you don't believe what the words say. Then they be like, oh, that's the old. It's all the same word, blood. Where you think you get the New Testament from? Man, I heard my dog say, man, Jesus ain't nothing but through Matthew to Revelation. I said, that's terrible. That's terrible. But people believe that, though. You know, and it is what it is. But hallelujah for Yahushua in the word, man. I appreciate y'all time. I bless y'all the house of Alahym in the name of Yahushua. Man, y'all be careful out there because, you know, depending on where you stay at, these niggas going to be out here shooting bullets. You know, why niggas want to waste ammo? But, you know, it is what it is. I appreciate y'all, man. I love y'all, man. Peace, brother Omar, man. Yahuwah willing, man. We be back on Shabbat. Make it do what it do. Yahuwah brood, make it shoot. Damn. We might have to stream from a different location, man, depending on how fast these people move. Lord willing, we'll find out. Amen. Praise Yahuwah, Sister Regina. Yeah, man, y'all willing, man, we'll be back at it, man. But just consider that, man, you know, there's a man who God has given knowledge and wisdom and equity to or success to, and he give all that knowledge, wisdom, and success to a man who had not labored. And you'll come into other men's labors. You know what I mean? And we've been saved the same way that Noah's household was saved from wrath through him. It's foretelling and foreshadowing the fact that we've been saved from wrath through Yahushua HaMashiach. And you know, it's something to always wait and consider and to give thanks for. I got some other stuff in Proverbs 6 on the back end side. You know what I'm talking about? Still got a few things on Ruth 3 to deal with. We got Zechariah 4, Jeremiah 18, 2 Samuel 13, Judges, and Numbers chapter 1. Lamentations 5, Obadiah, Ruth 3, Nehemiah, and Esther chapter 2. Proverbs 6, Deuteronomy 8, and Jeremiah 5. And then we'll be done. So again, I appreciate y'all. Bless y'all the house of Alahym in the name of Yahushua, Yahuwah willing. Till the next time.